Hi guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to be wrapping up 2021 by letting you know what, in my opinion, were the best polishes of 2021. For the most part, we're going to be talking mainstream here because most of my live swatch videos this year were mainstream collections, but we are going to talk indie polish, like specific polishes that I really loved this year from indie at the end of the video. But before we get into the mainstream collections, my biggest fave of this year, of course, besides my own brand, Moonshine Manny, but my biggest fave being indie polish. And where can you find the best range and variety of indie polish right now? It's at Polish Pickup, which is a monthly event. You can shop new limited edition indie polishes from over 100 different makers all in one place for one shipping price. So that is my indie polish fave that I want to recommend to you. If you haven't tried it still after hearing me talk about it for years, I recommend that you give it a try. We do have a new polish pickup event coming up for January. The first Friday of the month is when it starts. The theme is spices and condiments. For February, our theme is 90s television. So if you haven't tried it yet, give it a try. If you've been always wanting to get into indie polish and you haven't yet, go over to polishpickup.com during that first weekend of the month and just kind of window shop and look what indie polish has to give you. I have fallen deeply in love with indie polish, but I do still review mainstream polish for this channel because I know a lot of people still like to shop mainstream. If you aren't really into a lot of kind of different color combinations and variations and you want like a good cream or plain shimmer polish on your nails, maybe more work appropriate shades, I do know that a lot of people still love to shop mainstream brands. But for me, my heart is with indie polish. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. My favorite mainstream brand of the entire year, based upon the factors of I can find it affordably. They came out with a great range of colors this year, not just like the same old boring shades. They gave me a good variety of shades throughout the year, shades and formulas, and they consistently gave me good application. The brand that won for 2021 is Orly. So I know that a lot of you comment in my Orly videos that Orly polish doesn't wear a long time for you. Now that may be the case. You might want to play around with some different base coats if you're having issues with that, but there are just certain formulations that aren't going to react well with your body chemistry, and that just may be how it's going to be with you for Orly. But for me, I rarely wear a polish longer than 2 or 3 days, maybe a week at the longest. And so for me, the longevity, wearability of a polish is not really something that I'm looking for and whether I'm going to recommend it to you as like the best. But I do hear you. That is a valid point if that's like something that's in your top 5 reasons to love a nail polish. For me, Orly did the best this year throughout the whole year of giving me exciting, fun collections. So some of their collections this year were the Day Trippin collection, the Electric Escape collection, Wild Natured collection, Momentary Wonders, Metropolis collection, and they even had a collaborative collection with Lisa Frank. That collection was actually probably my least favorite collection of theirs the entire year. Just as far as formulas, they weren't my favorite. The 2 toppers in that collection were standout, but the rest of the collection was kind of a pass. I will link in the description bar below links to my full live application reviews of these collections that I am recommending to you, so you can go check them out if you want to, because the whole purpose of my channel, if you're new here, hi! The whole purpose of my channel is to review mostly mainstream collections for you that are coming into the market and you're thinking, is this collection going to be something that I'm going to like? How does it apply? What does this actually look like on the nails rather than just going off of what the brand's promoting to you? I'm going to give you my fully unbiased, unpaid for opinion about these polishes so that you have some more information before you go to shop. So Orly won hands down for me this year. And another thing that I really like about them, again, totally unsponsored, but I do like that they have the subscription service so that the collections just come to you. It comes for a great price. They usually throw in there a little freebie. So they were my winner this year. As far as my favorite Orly polish that they released all year, it came in the last collection of the year in Momentary Wonders, and it was the Polish Ephemeral. It just was an absolutely divine gold glow shimmer in a kind of somewhat sheer base, which I don't mind. I've really enjoyed that trend this year of more sheer polishes, but the gold shimmer just was heavenly. It was so amazing. So that was my favorite Orly polish of the whole year for my favorite mainstream brand. As far as the best neons for the entire year, Orly also took that spot. Their neon collection was called Electric Escape, and the polished Kaleidoscope Eyes in there was my favorite out of the whole collection. The beautiful light, like neon pastel lavender shade, so bright, just gorgeous, but that whole collection was phenomenal. Second place neons were for the China Glaze Havana Nights collection. This was also a really great collection. For me, when I was deciding between these two collections, who took top spot, because I felt like they both had great application and equally bright, vivid neons. For me, Orly took it because they used a little bit more creativity, whereas China Glaze gave us some neons that are similar to some things that they've released in the past. That's just my opinion, but I think both collections are fantastic. And in the China Glaze Havana Nights collection, Tropic Like It's Hot is this ultra bright yellow green that you get great opacity with, and so I definitely recommend that one to you, but just check out that whole collection. As far as the best budget friendly collection this year, I felt that that came from Sinful colors. Now granted, you can get a lot of these polishes that I'm talking about for a great price at places like polishpick.com and headtotoebeauty.com. You can still get China Glaze for I think like $3.50 at those locations. Sinful Colors has in the past been $1.99 at like the drugstore or Walmart. I think recently it increased to across the board $2.99. I don't think I've purchased it for less than that in a while, but even still at that price point, I think that they do some great polishes. However, in 2021, I was not super impressed with basically anything that Sinful Colors released, with the exception of the Essenchills collection. And I think that that collection for me, it was very calming. Everything had a nice soothing scent. That was kind of the idea, was they were chill colors with a nice soothing scent. And that combination was just kind of like the perfect storm for me. And they have the most budget-friendly polishes out there right now that I think still give you a pretty great application and payoff for your dollar. That being said, like I said earlier, the rest of the polishes that they launched this year, I didn't really care for. That includes their holiday collection that I have coming up a review for you. Some of the polishes from that release were okay, but most of them were kind of lackluster. So you'll want to tune into that video to see which ones I'm talking about that you maybe should not worry about snagging. So anyway, best budget friendly goes to Sinful Colors Essenchills, and I see them still at Target and Walmart sometimes, so you can still have a chance to snag those if you want to. My favorite polish out of that collection was called Bath Goals. The best mainstream holos for this year, and we did have a number of brands release some holographics, some linear holographics. My favorite were from Color Club. I did like a number of things from Color Club this year, but they didn't quite beat out Orly for that top spot. But the Color Club Halo Jewels collection is available online at an e-tailer where you can get it for a discount. I will link that below where I shopped for it. However, I should mention to you that they are probably the most pricey thing that I'm recommending to you from mainstream, because you can get a lot of these things at places like polishpick.com for a discount. But I do want to give an award to this category, so that's going to go to Color Club for the Halo Jewels collection. And for me, the runner-up for holos came from the OPI Holiday collection. They had half of that collection was full of linear holos, and I thought they were great as well. As far as Color Club's other collections, two other collections that you could take notice of this year were the Parisian Garden collection and Jersey Girl collection. I really did enjoy those quite a bit as well. They didn't get the top spot, but those are definitely honorable mentions. Okay, as far as like your main brands, OPI, Essie, and China Glaze, I just was not incredibly excited about almost anything that these brands released this year. They just gave me a lot of the same things that I've seen before, and I understand if you're just getting into nail polish, having a brand that's going to give you like consistent great formulas in your basic shades is something that you probably want. For me, in my journey into my love of nail polish, I am an avid collector who has, you know, all of the plain shades. I want the exciting things now. And that's why for me, OPI, China Glaze, Essie really didn't hit that top spot this year. But as far as the best that OPI did this year, I consider it to be their Holiday 2021 collection. The rest of the year was inspired by Southern California. And I've lived in California for most of my life. I don't find Southern California a particularly exciting thing to be inspired by. That's just me personally. So their inspiration this year didn't really like do it for me. I think that I always kind of get excited about traveling to a foreign land. And so for me, because California is not foreign, it wasn't as exciting. But their Holiday 2021 collection, partly because half of the collection was all linear holos, and I appreciated them actually using enough holographic component in their polish to give you a good payoff. I appreciated that. So I did really like that collection. And my favorite out of that collection is called My Color Wheel is Spinning. So if you want to check out that one, it's a beautiful purple linear holo. My second favorite OPI collection was the Downtown LA collection. You did have some beautiful shades in there, a lot of things that we've seen before, so not my fave, but I did enjoy that collection. And as always, OPI polishes do have a great finish and application, never a problem there. So that is something that OPI always has going for it. In the Downtown LA collection, my very favorite was OPI Heart DTLA. And then I also want to give the Malibu an honorable mention. Half of that collection was kind of boring, but the half that wasn't brown shades, I did like those polishes as well. Okay, for Essie, I love Essie. I feel like Essie always puts together these great color stories, but for me, 2021 was kind of sleepy. The two collections that I did like in 2021 are the Spring 2021 collection and the High Voltage Vinyl collection, which was kind of like more of a limited release, I think, that just kept popping up in local grocery stores near me. So I was excited that it was getting around because two of the polishes in that collection were my favorite polishes this year from Essie, and that's My Happy Base, which I like to moniker My Happy Bass. It's just more fun for some reason. And the polish Starstruck Accord. So that collection, along with the Spring 2021 collection, which I felt gave us these beautiful, muted, almost fall-like tones in spring, those were my favorite collections out of the year if you want to take a look at what Essie did this year. And I will link those videos down below. In the description, I'll have a detailed list of everything I've been talking about today, and you can go watch my reviews and see what you like the best as well. From China Glaze. China Glaze this year, kind of same story. They usually do more fun things, but for me, China Glaze was a little disappointing. I would say my very favorite collection was probably, again, the Holiday 2021 collection, the collection that just released. I think that they did have some fun shimmers in that collection and some nice glowy things. My favorite polish out of the collection was Ruby Riches. But they did, in that collection, re-promote a polish from the Halloween collection. Just one was matte, one was not, but it was an exact duplication except for the component in the base that made it matte. So that was kind of frustrating for me. China Glaze was not on the top of my list this year, but my favorite collection was the Holiday collection, and the Autumn Spice collection gave us some beautiful colors as well. If you want to check those two out, I already talked about the Neon collection if you were interested in neons for this year. As far as my favorite Zoya collection, Zoya I found at the very bottom of my mainstream list this year. I don't know what, something about their collections was just way too basic for me this year. I didn't find myself super loving anything that they did. Everything they did was lovely, but it didn't really push through to a fave for me this year. However, my very favorite thing that Zoya released all year is their Dazzle collection, which just launched at the beginning of December, and I just barely got my hands on it. So I will review that for you and get it up for you to see very soon. But that whole collection has gold glass fleck in it, which basically just means a highly reflective, small, micro flaky. So it's beautiful. I can't wait to share it with you, but that was my favorite thing that Zoya did all year. An honorable mention brand for you that I have, I love to talk about Morgan Taylor because I feel like it's not on as many people's watch lists, but they are a great brand. They don't maybe do as exciting things, but they had my very favorite pink polish out of the whole year. So if you're a pink lover, their polish from the collection, the Feel the Vibes collection, there's a pink polish called Spin Me Around. Best pink by far from the whole year. So check it out if you're a pink lover. You can also find that brand at polishpick.com for a great price. So check them out. I really do like Morgan Taylor. They have great formulas. All right, we're going to talk a little bit more about indie polish right here. I'm going to give some honorable mentions to some of my favorite indie polishes released all year. But unlike mainstream brands, I can't review everything for you that has been released from indie brands. There's just too much. So I can on my channel review every single mainstream collection that was launched this year, which I did, giving you a comprehensive look at everything that you have to shop for from mainstream, but I can't actually do that for you from indie. So it's not really fair to say these are the best indie polishes released this year in my opinion, because I didn't try them all. I wish I tried them all. Gosh, that would just be like my dream come true, to try every single indie polish released by these amazing makers this year. But it's just not possible. I don't have that amount of time in the day. I wish I did. But I am going to give you some honorable mentions for things that I did get the chance to swatch this year that I definitely want to give a little shout out to in this video. But first we're going to talk about Moonshine Manny. If you aren't aware, Moonshine Manny is my indie brand, which I started after years on this channel, falling in love with nail polish, then falling in love with indie polish, and now I have deeply fallen in love with making polish. And out of 2021, I think my very favorite collection that I created was called A Trained Chanteuse. This collection is inspired by Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek. If you want to check it out, I'll link it down below. I'll link the video and where you can go to shop it, but it's just super fun. Deep, vampy shades, just like I would think Moira would wear if she wore indie polish. So it has holographic elements and flakies and shimmers and gives you a great payoff of some fun colors. That month I also released my favorite project dupe that I did this year. MSM, or Moonshine Manny, has a collection, a running collection on the website called Project Dupe It. This collection was inspired by years in the nail polish community, hearing people talk about polishes that you can no longer get and how disappointing it is to not be able to find that color anymore and just wanting something similar. I take recommendations from you guys on what polishes you want to see duped. It's less of a dupe and more of a, this is inspired by this beautiful mainstream polish which you can no longer get. I only do it for mainstream polishes. So, along with the Trained Chanteuse collection, I released the polish Sugar Sugar, which was inspired by OPI Sugar Plum Yum. And it's a really beautiful gray with purple lean with a strong shifty shimmer, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. I definitely recommend you check it out. It was my favorite project dupe this year. Another favorite collection I released this year was the Hitchcock Halloween collection, and this is another passion project of mine along with like the Trained Chanteuse collection, although to be real, all of my collections are passion projects because they're inspired by things that I love. But I have loved Hitchcock films since I was a really little kid because my dad would watch black and white movies with me all the time. And so I did a collection inspired by some of my favorite Alfred Hitchcock films, and my favorite polish in the collection was the birds. My favorite polish pickup polish that I did this year, so a limited edition polish that I created just for that event that I was talking to you at the beginning of the video, was also a Halloween polish, and it was called I Never Hurt a Fly. And this polish was just super, super fun for me. It went along with the Hitchcock collection, and it was a really, really fun color. So I really enjoyed that shade, and overall this year has been nothing but love for Moonshine Manny. Such a joy in my life to create polishes for you guys and to share my creativity with what you could wear on your nails. Now we're going to move on to some of my favorite indie polishes that I was able to swatch this year, and like I mentioned before, this is in no way comprehensive. There's so many polishes I didn't even get to try. But after going through my Instagram, reminding myself what I swatched this year, some of my very favorite things came from a few brands. I think my favorite indie collection that I swatched in entirety this year was the KB Shimmer Enchanted Forest collection. If you haven't checked it out, that collection is such a hit. My two favorite polishes out of the collection are Hidden Potential and Mist Me, but the whole collection is fantastic. So I definitely recommend. And if you haven't tried any KB Shimmer or any of these brands I'm talking about yet, huge recommends from me. From Colorista Carol, she has two polishes this year that I think are unfortunately both limited edition. You can't get them right now, but they give you a good idea of what this brand does. Fantastic glitter crellies like Misty Morning. I love this polish so much. Love, 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 love. I hope the maker brings it back. And Terra from Polish Pickup, two of my very favorites from Colorista Carol in 2021. I have a couple favorites from Glam Polish this year. They were both from the Valentine's event. So there was like two halves to that event. There were the kind of happy love polishes and the not so happy love polishes. And I really, really loved Gone Girl and Wedding Singer. So Glam is such a favorite of mine. Again, if you haven't tried this brand, it's Australian made, it's female owned, and indie brands, if you aren't aware, are all hand mixed small business, usually female owned companies that make these artisan handcrafted nail polishes, not like mass produced in a factory or owned by a company. That's the differentiation there. And then finally, another brand that I want to give a shout out to for having two of my favorite indie polishes this year comes from Polish for Days. They are, I think, unfortunately, both unavailable currently, but I hope not for long. We'll see. You never know with indie polish if something's going to come back, but the polish Snowdrop was one of my favorite polishes that I had on my nails this year, and the polish Esperance, which was one of the very first polishes that they released this year and stayed my fave that they released all year. These are just personal preferences, things that I liked, but I wanted to give these brands mention because they did a lot of things that I really, really loved this year. So that was long, but I hope that you felt my love for all of these brands and these polishes this year, especially as we got to the end with the indie polish. It just makes my heart so happy, and I hope that you found it helpful. If you haven't watched many of my videos this year, maybe this helped clue you in onto the ones that you really should watch and maybe pick up a few polishes from. And just like Polish Pickup is one-stop shopping, some of these brands like polishpick.com or headtotoebeauty.com, you can shop multiple brands in one location. So it's fantastic. It's like going to Ulta, but better price points. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below. Tell me your top mainstream brand of the entire year. And if you want to put in a couple of your favorite indie polishes from this year as well, I would love to know what you think. I will see you back for another video very soon. Take care. Until then, bye.